Now, let me explain quickly about this taping. Tape, you see, can be cut and edited, so we won't stop unless a lens falls off the camera or a monitor blows up. And that's not likely. I mean, it's never happened. Oh God, wouldn't it just be like life? I don't want to think about it. Okay. This is camera 1. This one is camera 2. This monitor shows what's being recorded on tape, and you'll see me looking at this monitor from time to time just to check my calc. Okay, is everybody ready? That was the McCarthy era, right? You were called before the committee yourself, weren't you?
Oh, I went to Washington because Belinda's daddy was sitting on the McCarthy committee. I tried to get a portrait of him to send to her, but he'd got so old, you know, looked mean all the time. She wouldn't have liked the pictures I took of him.
Neither did the committee. Didn't they accuse you of making pro-communist statements with your harsh photographs?
Oh, I don't believe that's why they called me up to that committee. I don't have a thimbleful of politics, never did. They called me up to that committee because when I got to Washington, I was looking for some place to stay for free. I went to this little old bar, met up with the secretary. She took a liking to me and let me stay at her place.
This is a picture of Korea, isn't it?
Well, it turns out she was the girlfriend of one of those committee members. At least he thought she was his girlfriend. She didn't want to give that man the time of day, but she was working for him.
And you won a Pulitzer for it. This is Korea, isn't it? This picture? Korea?
It is. It's a picture of a graveyard over there. Crosses go on as far as you can see. Belinda's husband was reported missing the first year of that war. I never did send that picture to Belinda, didn't want to make her cry. You see, Belinda got married 3 times, but I always believed that was the only one of her husbands she gave a fig about.
Let's talk about the Nobel Prize.
Belinda was always marrying. Seems like she just had to have a husband. Of course, us Southern girls were raised to think like that. The only reason I never did marry a man is I never came across one I could make sense out of. Men and TV sets are a mystery to me.
And how did you feel when you won the Nobel Prize?
I believe I might have married a woman if they'd have let me.
We can cut that. We'll cut it. The Nobel Prize?
Are you telling him to change what I'm doing here?
It's just a little editing, Lacey. We'll just clip a little moment out.
I don't want you clipping moments out.
I have a responsibility to protect the viewer's sensibilities.
All my life I've been clipping out moments to protect Mama's sensibilities. I got through clipping, there wasn't much left. If you're going to do the same thing to me here, I might as well go home. I can sit with Mama and be somebody that I'm not.
Wait, don't leave. We're in the middle of taping a program. There's an audience out here.
I came on this show because your friend Rachel asked me to.
Rachel did?
Her friend Rachel came down south to visit me. Said she writes books about people's lives and wanted to write the true story of my life. Said she got interested in me because of some tales she heard in the places where she and this one hang out.
It really doesn't matter why you came. You're here now. Let's talk about the Nobel Prize.
Well, not all of those tales are true. Couldn't any one person have done all that carrying on? Lots of it was true. But I told Rachel she couldn't print it in a book because of Mama. You see, Rachel came to see me before Mama heard the preacher call her senile.
It does happen. I have a roommate named Rachel. She is a writer, I suppose. We come and go. You know how roommates are. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Rachel said it was too bad I couldn't let her write about the truth of my life. She said all the years she's been living with you, you've been going on and on about how much you admired me. Said that if I could tell the truth in print, it might make you feel some better about yourself.
Don't worry. Sit down, Lacey, and tell me about this photograph. This is the shot that won you the Nobel Prize, isn't it?
I'm not talking anymore if I can't say the truth.
Well, of course we want to hear the truth. about this photograph. This beautiful young Vietnamese girl, abandoned in poverty in a rice paddy, tenderly holding her half-Caucasian baby.
Belinda's grandchild.
What?
Belinda's youngest boy, the one by her third marriage. He went over to Vietnam and married that girl, and Belinda's husband wouldn't let him come home and bring her. So he stayed over there. I took this photograph and sent it to Belinda. And that's when she wrote me a letter for the first time.
And you won the Nobel Prize.
But first, let me tell you, she wrote me this little letter, peach-colored paper, folded in two, about so big. The edges of it cut to like little scallops. Mama thought that paper was so pretty, she wanted me to get some like it for myself. I told her I wrote too big for that kind of little paper. Mama said, you could just look at that writing and tell Belinda is a real lady.
The Nobel Prize.
Well, I'd already got that when she wrote to me. She thanked me for sending her that photograph there of her grandchild, which she had to hide in a bureau drawer so her husband wouldn't know she had it. But in appreciation, she said, she got her husband to organize a special celebration in honor of my getting the Nobel Prize. You see, Belinda's husband was the mayor, and he was going to give me the key to the city.
And the cycle comes full circle. It was Belinda who originally inspired your creativity, and it was Belinda who was responsible for your moment of triumph. I'd like to thank you for coming on.
Well, I got to shake her hand, if that's what you mean. Her fingers were as bony as a bird. I reminded her of that time she brought a turkey to our house for Christmas. Belinda said she guessed she must have delivered 1,000 turkeys in her day. And although she didn't recall that specific occasion when she came to our little house, she was filled with admiration that I had risen to such heights of accomplishment from the depths of poverty. Well, Mama stopped speaking to me when Belinda said that. Didn't say another word to me until after the ceremonial dinner. I had Belinda on one side of me and Mama on the other. And I cleaned my plate and I leaned back and I was watching the two of them taking those tiny little bites, chewing with their mouths pursed, you know. How they sat with their backs so straight. How they smiled when their eyes were just as cold. How they complained about their food but wouldn't send it back. And then Belinda's husband called on Mama to make a speech. She got up and said how proud she was of me and how she always did admire my spunky nature. And then he called on Belinda. And she got up and said how she was in pure awe of my courage and achievements, and that she believed I was the bravest woman she'd ever come across. Everybody clapped their hands, and Belinda and Mama turned to look at me, smiling at me with those cold eyes. And that's when I saw how much they hated me for being all those things they had just said they admired.
You mean, of course, they envied your success.
You think so?
Well, I'm asking you.
I spent my whole life taking pictures of Belinda, trying to hold her still, trying to get her to look back at me and see me. I always believed if she'd just really look at me, she'd be bound to love me back. Well, she looked at me a lot that night at dinner, just the same way Mama always has. I'm just not what either one of them had in mind.
But you're a great artist. You've documented our lives and our times.
It was like somebody cut off my arm with a buzzsaw.
And as an artist, you must take comfort in the knowledge that your work has touched the lives of thousands and will outlive your generation.
I could have spent all those years taking pictures of things that interested me.
And we're nearly out of time. That goes so quickly, doesn't it?
I could have moved in permanent with one of those women I stayed with in New York City. Always having to pack up my underwear, hunt down my toothbrush, wonder where it was that left my overcoat. I could have stayed with one woman and built myself a dark room. I could have kept a cat.
I do appreciate your dropping by today.
I could have found somebody cared about me, but I always turned my nose up waiting for Belinda.
And I want to thank you all for joining us.
And that's how come I'm going to call your friend Rachel while I'm here in Philadelphia.
And hope you'll keep tuning into the show and tell all your friends they can get tickets to see the show.
If Rachel still wants to write a book about me, I believe I will let her.
Tomorrow night, my guest will be that zany comic, that commentator on our troubled times.
Rachel said I could stay with you two and save my hotel bill.
Are we still taping?
And I could get somebody from the church to look out for Mama. Telling the whole true story of my life might take a month or two.
Join me now in thanking Lacey Lanier. Okay, that's it. We're through.
Rachel said if I could let her tell the truth about my life, it might make you feel some better.
Show's over, Lacey. Jack, can you get a taxi to take Miss Lanier to the airport?
And I believe your friend Rachel is right about that. I know you can't go chasing after somebody else's image all your life. You got to take a picture of yourself and get to love it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Look, that picture is doing something all by itself.
They're checking the tape, Lacey. Come on, you miss your plane. There'll be a taxi waiting for you right outside.
I don't care what Mama says. My hair looks fine to me.
Tell him she's coming.
And Rachel gave me your home address. I wrote it on this slip of paper.
Nice meeting you. Lots of luck in the future.
I'll just give it to the taxi driver.
Well, one never knows what to expect when meeting genius. Now I know you all must be eager to get up and stretch your legs, and I've got a dash. I've got a date with the most exciting man. Boy, roommates sure can get you into a lot of trouble. Don't worry, Mom. She's just a roommate. Herbie, run the top part of the show for me, will you? Without sound. Just the intro. Run it several times. I want to watch myself.